Hey Lennie, these are your Solex, and I have to apologize again for taking so long. The machine shop apologized to me for taking so long, and that's what happened. It just took them forever to get these things machined. Doing a cold start check on the carburetors for you. They've been sitting for several days since the last time I tested. Since it's been sitting so long, your car's fuel will be rancid. You need to drain the fuel tank and put in fresh fuel, preferably ethanol free. I would also check your fuel pump and your fuel filter selector valve. Make sure that cork is fresh in there, and it would probably be a good idea to purge the fuel lines. Anyway, fresh fuel is the key. Ethanol free if you can do it, and good quality fuel. I'm going to give you some handy hints in terms of installation, and then do testing and use the engine analyzer to show you about how I adjust them for best performance. In terms of installation, whenever you're working with the fuel lines to the float bowls, you're going to use two wrenches, one to stabilize the fitting in the float bowl and the other one to do the wrenching here. These 1/4-inch drive wobble sockets are excellent for installation of the carburetors. They can get underneath here very easily. When you want to install the carburetors, I'll give you mounting instructions, and then you're going to install them and leave them attached but loose, and then you can install your big air log and make sure it lines up with the studs, which I'll stick on later on, and then you can leave the air log in place, start the tightening process on the top, pull the air log off, and then you'll be all aligned to where the air log can go on and off properly. For adjustment, I use the synchrometer, the one that's the 1 to 35 right out of the box. Fits these perfectly. And what we're using this for is we want to make sure we have minimal airflow through the second barrels, which is due to the machine work, the excellent machine work that's done. And then we balance the carburetor airflow at idle through the first barrel of each carburetor. Make sure we have balanced airflow. We're going to be using the idle speed screw right here to balance carburetor flow. And we'll do that with the carburetors disconnected, so the linkage is not interfering with our activities. We will also be using the idle mixture screw here to get the best idle, and you're going to screw it in and out and get the best idle for your engine. The second barrel is a dummy. It doesn't do anything, so just leave it alone. Only work with the first barrel. We'll also adjust. I've already adjusted these things, but in terms of the idle, we have to pay attention to this screw and set screw right here, as they affect the movement of the second barrel throttle butterfly. And this screw right here hits a pin on the second barrel and artificially closes the butterflies after you chop the throttle. And you have to pay attention to that. Make sure this has got a little bit of movement, so that if you screw down on this screw too much, it can artificially open the first barrel. So you have to pay attention to that. Choke mechanism right here. These are adjustable to where you can have your choke cable lining up properly with the air log. You need to have a little bit of adjustment here to get to move these in and out to the right spot. Let's see what else. Make sure the carburetors are warmed up, otherwise they won't. You can't tune them properly. They have to be warmed up first. And let's see. Let me get the camera in the right spot so we can check all of our airflow. All right. And what I do is a couple of pumps on the throttle. Make sure if your car's been sitting for a while, make sure you use the priming lever on the fuel pump. Pump up the fuel, and a couple of pumps. Switch on. Choke. So we'll warm them up. This will be just like if you're driving along, you can have the choke on or slowly release it. You notice when I operate the choke, it operates this throttle lever right here. The choke is just manually operating the throttle. So you can do the same thing with your foot. Throttle, the thermostat is opened up. Going to disconnect our carburetors so they run independently of each other. Right now we're running an idle of about 700, which is about right. Idle right here, 700, 725. So I'm going to adjust the idle mixture screws, and you watch the idle change, degrade, and we're going to get the best idle. You're dropping idle. Alright, now we're going to back out the throttle, the idle mixture screw, get our best idle. And if it's not too far out, these are small incremental movements. Let me show you here. here. Small incremental movements, very slowly. You can hear the idle start to drop off. Back out. Get our best idle. And then too far out, it'll start to drop off. And you'll be running too rich. So we'll go back in. We picked up, we're now at 800 RPM. We picked up some RPM. Same with the first barrel, first carburetor. Let me move this over. There we go. You can hear the idle dropping off. Back it out. Pick up our RPM. Very slowly. Sounds like we got good RPM right there. And we'll also check in a minute, make sure we're not too rich or lean. Now let's do our airflow. Again, I'm holding on to the linkage here. Make sure our second barrels are closed. There we go. Now check our airflow here. We want minimal airflow. We can't do much about this. This is what y'all do the machine work. So we want minimal airflow. And we want the same airflow through the first barrel. So you can see right there we're at about 6, almost 7. There's 7 right there. So let's increase the idle. Now that I've held the linkage up, we're at about 600. So let's bounce it back up to 700. Alright, we're at about 700. We're at 7, almost 8 there. 8 there, so let's back this one off a little bit. Make sure we're closed there. Alright, 8, 7.5, 8, 7.5, 8. We're running about 700, 725 on our RPM. Now we will snap our linkage back in place and make sure it's adjusted properly and it doesn't change the idle. Alright. Now we're going to rev it up and see how it responds. Okay. Now we're going to do a hot start, hot restart. That's where you've noticed our RPM changed a little bit, so I want to put a little bit more pressure on the screw back here to close the throttle, the second barrel. Let's see if I can show you that process right here. Undo our jam screw, and this one screws down. Contact. Make sure you check our Move it down a little bit. Make sure I'm not screwing too much. I might be a little bit too much here, so we're going to back off. Lock that down. Double check our, see how it's changed when I pop the linkage off. So that's it. That's the importance of having your linkage adjusted properly. It's very hard to do, but that's why there's a turnbuckle back here as I adjust that turnbuckle, RPM changes. So that's the hard part right here. A good response. I think we've got a good set of carburetors for you. I appreciate your patience. If you have any questions, I'm available.